guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and today we are going to do a character guide on Desch. So Desch came out and just got his FR, so he's got a nice little buff with that. He got C90, he's got force enhancements, so we got a lot to talk about here. And so in my Should You Summon video, I didn't really recommend most players summon for Desch. Doesn't mean he's not good. So in this video, we'll talk about his kit. He does a lot of really cool things. So if you like his playstyle, you like his kit, definitely go for him, invest in him if you like him, right? He's just not a character I think most players are going to find a need or a use for, but you can kind of watch this showcase and kind of judge for yourself. If he's a character you think you'll use and you like him, like, you definitely can get good use out of Desch, right? So in this video, we're going to go ahead and look at his artifacts, his spheres. We'll do a little showcase. His force enhancements are the standard kind, so he's not a force charger. So pretty much what I always say is if you really like a character, you should go all the way to 30 on him. If it's a character you might just try out and use, just take him to 10 with character points and don't. I wouldn't like put I wouldn't put force stones into a character unless you intend to take him to 30. That's kind of how my playstyle is. I'm kind of like an all or nothing. So that's the way I would kind of go with Desch. Just decide on how you want to play that. If you're going to use them, I would take them all the way to 30, right? So for his artifacts here, I actually have not farmed his artifacts yet, but you want a combination of attack 108 and then his C50, which is this Memory of the Ancients Up. The Memory of the Ancients Up is your priority. You want 3 of those because it basically improves all of his stats while you have one of his main buffs on, which you're always going to have on, right? So you really want 3 of that Memory of the Ancients Up and then supplement it with either attack or max brave. That's what you want to go with there. For the spheres, he's a typical A slot, which is brave damage and attack. The big thing to keep in mind is he is a mixed kit of magic and melee, so don't give him physical attack and don't give him magic attack, because he's kind of mixed. You're only going to be doing some of those sometimes. To me, Rydia is a really good shout here just because he is a Thunder Enchant Imperialer, so he is always going to be doing weakness damage with his Thunder, so I'd say Rydia is probably one of the better ones you put there. So go with either Rydia or another weakness sphere or just another, like, critical hit sphere, just any A sphere where you're getting brave damage attack, you're going to be fine, right? The D slot, you just want to buff attack here. So Lise I put on there just because I have a lot of those, and Lise is just a party attack buff, which is good, and Desch can activate that. Ash and Hope are the other good, really good, just generic D spheres I always recommend. So something like that would be fine for attacking. The E slot, you have a couple of options here. So the E slot, you can either choose on boosting his damage with an attack sphere, or you can go with more of like an aura sphere. Honestly, I feel like something like Pain is probably his best one, because Pain is going to give everyone like a party attack buff, and I kind of see Desch as more of like a support character, so I'd say supporting the party with more attack with Pain would probably be the best. I'm a little short on Pain spheres, so I went with an Emperor sphere, which is going to buff his own attack. You could go with an aura as well, right? So if you just want to do some other type of debuff, you want a Poison Ferris sphere on, you want to do a speed down with like a Tidus or something like that, you totally could do that if you want to. It's totally up to you and what you want to do, right? So, but once again, I'd say E slot, your best in slot if you're all out Desch, like go with Pain on that. Is probably what I would do there. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll hop into the showcase and kind of show how he works. Now, just so you know, this showcase is going to be done with a pretty minimally invested Desch. Now, I've got the whole kit, right? I've got the only things that aren't full invested, the force enhancements I only have at 10. And then his armor, I actually don't even have the Lufenia armor on. He's only got his 190 CP armor on. So he will be missing out on some brave damage and some attack there. But for the most part, you're going to be able to see the kit and just how he works. Just keep in mind the numbers might look a little bit lower here than if you fully invest them, okay? So let's go ahead and we will hop in, and we're just going to do the Space Shinryu fight. I'm going to pair him up with Kryl just because Kryl is thunder damage. So I'll just say this right out of the gate. Desch's force attack. Oh, you know what? Actually, before I go too crazy, I'm going to swap out Rem for Pinello. I got to make sure. I almost caught myself there, but this is a force character. So I want to make sure I show the force time, and Pinello is just the quickest way to do that. So let's go ahead and get Pinello in here. There you are. So we'll swap that for Rem. That's fine. We'll do that. I guess for the Thunder theme, let's put Rama in. Probably won't use it, but okay. So we'll hop in there. So Friend unit, sure, we'll bring a cam friend in case I want to do cam shenanigans, but I'm not really, I'm going to use Desch's force, right? So, but cam does actually synergize with Desch's force, and I'll talk about that actually right now. So, as we're hopping in here, so what Desch's force time effects are, so the way you boost the HP damage during his force time is thunder damage is 20%, and then if the enemy cannot act, so basically like a paralyze, right? So that's where cam actually synergizes well with that. Um, Desch has Paralyze in his kit. The reason why I don't like Desch's force is because it doesn't synergize as well as you would like to with his own kit. Desch can paralyze, so when you throw the force down, it's going to do a two-turn paralyze, but that's only going to be for 2 turns. Um, so the enemy will take 2 actions, then it'll be gone. He can paralyze himself with another attack, but it's only a 25% chance. So that's what I don't like is he doesn't have a 100% chance to put one of his own effects on that he needs for his force. That's something I kind of don't like, right? All right, so we've got Crowl, or sorry, yeah, we've got Crowl here. So let's do Advance All. We'll go ahead and throw the EX on right away. That's fine. I guess I could have force charged a little bit with her. Yeah, I guess I could have left Rem in because Kral's a good enough of a charger, right? Okay, so Desch is going to come up here, and Desch you're going to see gets a free skill use right away. You could use it on the AA to get the buffs, or you could use it on his 15 or 35. Let's do the AA. So the AA does a fat heal. So Desch has, healing in his kit. He has paralyzing. He has really good brave damage reduction. So he does do a lot of cool things. So don't think for a second that Desch is bad, right? So what you have with Desch right away, the reason why they give you that free action right away is they want you to choose a stance. So his 15 and his 35 are each going to be a different stance. So Blitz Shear is his 15. Basically, this is his magic stance, and he's going to get a buff called Anti-Magic Area. And if Anti-Magic Area is up, your party takes 99% less magic brave damage, which is a lot. Like, it's basically tanking like ridiculous, right? If you put Plasma Stroke on, it's going to do the same thing, but for physical attacks. So that would be for standard melee or range damage, minus 99% brave damage. So the general idea is, like, Desch is a character you have to think about a little bit more because he's stance-based, and you have to understand the enemy more. You can't just hop into a fight and start pressing buttons and expect Desch to work. You have to understand what type of attacks are the enemy doing. So in his own Shinryu, they highlight this because the enemies are going to change stances, and they expect you to use Desch and change your stances with it, right? But going into another fight, so this fight here, I'm doing the first Shinryu. Well, I know these enemies like to do thunder attacks, which is magic based. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put Blitz Shear on. So now I'm going to go into magic stance here. Okay, so it's going to do some damage. The other thing that both of the attacks do is they both do a party heal, which is good. So he's constantly healing. Once again, a very defensive character. And then they both put Thunder Imperil down. So he's constantly Thunder Imperiling. His EX also Thunder Imperil. So his 15 is 35 in his EX, all Thunder Imperil. So you're definitely getting the Thunder Imperiling down, right? And then he's doing Thunder damage on like all of his attacks. So he's got the Thunder damage built in. All right, let's go with Pinello. And let's just do a little bit of Brave Charging here. But I'm not going to go too crazy. Let's just do, sorry, ignore the battery. Ignore the battery. This just means it's my last video of the night, right? I've been recording pretty crazy. It's been a busy night. Dokkan just got part 2 of the anniversary, and then Desch and Machina just dropped, so I'm just going crazy with videos tonight, guys. So the night I'm recording this, it's not the day you're watching this or whatever, but I'm actually going to move Pinello's turn on, because I want the enemies to attack, because we are in the magic stance right now, so we should take, from these attacks, if they do the thunder attack like I think they're going to, we should take like no brave damage. So let's go ahead and see if this works here from these guys. Let's see what they do. Yep. Well, miss. Okay, we can't see if they miss. Okay. Okay, so that was 46 damage. Like, that was nothing, right? So, like, no brave damage. Now, you're going to notice each of the enemies got a random debuff, right? So what happens is when they have that debuff on, or when we're in the anti-magic area or anti-physical area, the enemies are going to basically have a 75% chance to get this defense down. And it's a fat defense down. I think it's like a 60% or something like that. So just know that it's a fat defense down. They have a 25% chance to paralyze, right? So that's the part I don't like, is that the paralyze is only a 25% chance, but it's going to happen every time the enemy acts. They're going to get one of those random things on there, right? So It's really nice though because you can switch between stances. It is kind of handy if you understand the enemy and what they're doing. So now let's go ahead. We'll look at the EX here actually. So the EX is Ancient Thunderclap. It's just going to be a big AoE thunder attack. It's going to put Thunder and Peril down. And it's going to do an Ancient Techniques debuff. And the Ancient Technique debuff basically gives you more Brave and HP damage taken, which is very good. HP damage up is good when you have that against the enemies. And then it does a really big max Brave down, but as it ticks down, it kind of gets less and less and less. So it starts at 60%, goes down to 10%. So let's go ahead and put that EX on. So they're going to get this Ancient Techniques debuff on. Okay, so once again, fat Brave damage down, and then they're getting Brave and HP damage up taken to them. So that's a good debuff. You want to put that on. You want to try to upkeep that if you can, right? So let's go ahead with Crowl here. Let's do some charging with her a little bit. Yeah, we'll do that. Do a little bit of charging up. All right, and we haven't even looked at Desch's LD yet, so we better do that because that's a pretty important debuff. So let's get that on. Or not a debuff, but an actual buff, right? So we're going to go ahead and get that on. All right, so we'll go ahead and, sure, let's go ahead and just LD here with Penelo. We'll let the enemies go, and we are still in anti-magic area. So if they're doing magic attacks, once again, the Brave damage should be very low here. So let's take a look. He's going to get paralyzed, so he's got paralyzed out. He's going to get a noob debuff, so he got re-paralyzed. So that 25% triggered twice, and there you go, 46 Brave damage, so like nothing. So now we're going to go back to Desch's turn here, and we're going to go ahead and do the LD here, which is Electric Floor. So Desch, like, he is really good against aggressive bosses, and bosses that take a lot of turns, because he's going to basically negate the Brave damage. He's going to paralyze. If they're paralyzed during his FR, you're going to get an extra 30%. So he can do really well. But the thing is like, what I was talking about in my summon video is like, there's always other options you would want to use in those spots. So like, if I'm in a really aggressive fight, I would maybe rather use a counter tank like Oron, who's going to be doing a bunch of damage and still protecting the party, right? If I want like and if I'm doing like a thunder damage FR, well, I'd probably rather use Crowl for that. She charges better, does all that stuff. So it's one of those things where like, if you really like Desch and you use him well, I think he can do a lot for you. It's just that I think a lot of players will find other options. He's typically not going to be the first choice you want to put on a team, but if you really like his kit, he can be very well utilized, and I think players could actually skillfully use him well in difficult content, especially with the way he kind of shields your party from the Brave damage, right? Let's go ahead and Intercession here, and I think I'm going to get us charged up to FR, and then let's go into a Desch FR, and we'll just kind of see how he can do. And we're not like trying to optimize damage or anything. We're just going to kind of show it off so you guys can see it. And then we'll see how often the enemies will stay paralyzed for us. And we're going to try to let the enemies take turns during the FR so that we'll get that 30% buff. And we're going to try to do thunder damage here with Desch and Cryle to help buff that up, right? So Penelo won't be doing the thunder damage as much, but they will be. So yeah, we're at 100%. So let's go and attack through. Once again, we are in magic stance right now, so if they do thunder to us, it should be like no damage. Cryle puts a paralyze on, which synergizes well with Desch. I mean, they do synergize well together, right? They help each other out. Thunder damage, paralyze. It's something that Desch needs for both of his FR things, so that is good. We got both enemies paralyzed right now, so let's go ahead and sure, let's hop into the FR. So this is Electric Order, partners with Layla. I love Layla, by the way. She's still one of my favorite characters in this game. She's busted. Really like her dodge, counter, bring everybody up to the front, heal. Like, that's a lot that she does. All right, so now on the force attack, the enemies do have a 2-turn paralyze, right? So now what's going to happen is we're basically looking for thunder damage and paralyzed enemies to buff that up, right? So with Cryo, let's do some thunder damage. So let's pop off thunder. Okay. And then we got 28%, right? And now paralyze, it should go up 30. Yep, 30, and then paralyze 30. So if you can get a fight, it's not going to be as good as Cam, but if you can get a fight where the enemies are really aggressive, taking a lot of turns, but you can keep them consistently paralyzed, you can see we just got 30, 60, almost 90% with only using 1 turn of force time because the enemy's paralyzed turns counted towards that. But the problem is if you're really speedy or aggressive, you have to let the enemies take turns in this strategy. It's not like Cam where you're really aggressive and you're just launching a bunch. It's It's a very different style of gameplay on this particular force time, right? So we'll just attack through really quick here with Penelo. Okay. And Penelo did get 20% there because she is being enchanted. So that is good. And then let's see here. So now with Desch. Oh, and one thing I should mention from the LD too is the LD. I may have mentioned this already, but the LD puts the electric area buff on, and that's the thing that's making the enemies constantly get those debuffs. So you want to keep that electric area up. Because it's just going to constantly keep re-triggering those debuffs, which is really good. And then the other big thing Desch has with this LD buff is that elemental damage goes up by 60%. So it really buffs your elemental damage on top of just a bunch of other generic party buffs. So you really want to make sure that that electric, what is it? Hold on, let me double check here. The electric area buff is up. So if we go on Desch here, electric area, it is a 12-turn buff. So it takes a while to fall off, but you just want to make sure you refresh that LD when you need to. Let's go ahead and go into physical stance here just so you guys can see it. But now in physical stance, if they did magic brave damage, it would do a lot more damage to us. But we don't have to worry about it right now because they're paralyzed anyways, right? Sure, let's go ahead and do a Crowl EX. Thunder damage, pump the gauge up. And then they're both ended up paralyzed, so they're going to be paralyzed again here. Pump the gauge up even more. Yep. And I mean, if you're just running the game naturally like this, like the 2 turns of Paralyze you get from the FR are usually enough because the enemies usually aren't going to see like 3 rounds within the force time, right? I mean, right now they're both not paralyzed, so we would want to try to paralyze them again. They both unfortunately got the defense down, so this is where the Desch is a little unfortunate because he didn't guarantee paralyze them. So now he's not even benefiting from his own force effect unless we can find a way to paralyze in between, right? So, oh shoot, I didn't mean to do that. I mean, that's fine. It's still a 55% buff, right? Because it's Penelo, but we didn't do an attack there. So I didn't mean to do that. Let's go ahead and just attack through here. Okay, and then that should do 25. Yeah, that's good. I mean, just getting the attack off there. All right, so with Desch, I'm sure let's do the EX. That's fine. And then we'll just see how much damage we can get out of here. I mean, he is getting the HP damage bonus up a fair decent amount, right? Would really like them to be paralyzed here. So what I can do, and you could bring like paralyzed calls, right? So if you really like Desch and you get this unfortunate situation, you could have like a Shantado call on hand, and Shantado's LD will basically put a paralyzed type effect on them that you could get away with, right? What we can do is we can do cleansing here. It doesn't instantly paralyze, but it'll set a trap and then they'll be paralyzed after. So if they take another turn, they would have it. But our force time is going to be done by then, unfortunately. So yeah, so now here, we're not going to get the buff for them being paralyzed, right? So the trap is going to go, now he's going to get paralyzed. But we didn't get the buff from it because it happens after, right? So the enemy would have to get another turn, and then they would get it there. So unfortunately, we missed out of 1 turn of getting like 60% up on the gauge there. So once again, that's the bad part with Desch is you can't guarantee the paralyze with him alone. You might have to kind of support him. Why did I do that? I'm just pressing buttons here. All right, so we got the gauge up to 517%. Let's go ahead and just do an attack here. And yeah, that's basically it. That's Desch for you. Once again, a very good utility type defensive healing character. Hopefully this helps you make a decision. Like I said, if you do like him, you definitely can put him to good work. You can put him to use. I don't recommend most players go for him, invest in him. There are better characters you can go for, like Tidus, like Machina, but it's totally up to you. Hope this guide helps you make a decision. Hope you guys all enjoy Desch. If you like him, thanks for watching. We'll catch you all on the next one.